What's up, Phoenix? Come see me do live stand-up comedy. Where am I doing it? Stand-up live. What are the odds? I'm doing live stand-up comedy at a place called Stand Up Live. It's a great club. I love Phoenix. I go there once a year. September 19th, that's a Thursday. That's the night you want to fill. Come on, Warriors. Rally. I don't care if you got to drive from Tucson, because I ain't playing Tucson. Come up from Tucson to Phoenix and see me at Stand Up Live September 19th. That's a Thursday. And then you get to be all hungover at work on Friday and go, I saw Jay Mohr last night. It was great. We took off our shirts and did diamond push-ups. I will also be there September 20th, which is a Friday, September 21st, which is a Saturday. If you want any and all of my stand-up comedy dates, jmohr.com. All good things flow through jmohr.com. You got to go to jmohr.com and get your tickets. You can buy tickets for Stand Up Live, me, in Phoenix, September 19th. It's right around the corner. Don't blow this. Let's have a party, because my girl wants to party all the time at Stand Up Live. That was free. Give me that for free. Now you give me a little kickback. Come see me do stand-up. Holler.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't. You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man.
Patty Jenkins is on More Stories. She directed the movie Monster, where Charlize Theron won the Academy Award. And you kind of came out of nowhere. Like that movie, was it because it was a small budget movie and nobody thought Charlene was going to be that transcendent?
Yes. And the subject matter, it's funny, I always think back on it. The subject matter was both made us a sure thing to get made, because it was like, oh, B movies, whatever, you know, like a B movie lesbian serial killer thing. Sure, we'll give you $1 million. But on the other hand, made everybody sure it would be nothing more than that, you know?
Right.
And I remember people saying to me like, well, nobody wants to see a movie about someone like this, you know? So it was like a surprise, of course.
It's funny, I'm sure. And Patty, of course, there's a show on ABC, Betrayal, which you direct the pilot. Did you produce it as well, or no? All right, good.
Yeah.
So that's on ABC.
Yes.
September 29th.
September 29th.
All right, so if you guys are down
Central.
with the networks and you want to watch Betrayal, know that a good gal and
way
a
better
family
than it
friend.
Sounds like it is.
Betrayal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like Tori Spelling's in the rain, like pulling a knife out of a boot.
It sounds like it's this super saucy, you know, typical network
Dear
fare.
Diary.
But actually, I like signed on to it because I loved the script and I love the actors, and I'm super happy with what it is. So
but what is it? What if it's not what I think it is? If it's not Tori Spelling pulling a knife out of her boot in the rain, what is it?
It's it has all of the things that are exciting on network, which is that it's about an affair and it's about betrayals and things. But
look, you're not pitching me the show. Just tell me what it's about.
It's about a woman.
You went into pitch mode.
Who's happily married.
Yeah.
She thinks, but has married someone who was like, you know, the compromise that we all could have made at some point, where you're like, oh, I'm marrying the guy who he's a good guy, and it doesn't get any better than this. And then she meets the love of her life.
So she settled.
She settled.
She didn't realize it at the time.
Didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
Meets the love of her life. Likewise, the man has married a woman who was the daughter of his mentor, and likewise thinks that he's doing the best that he could, and meets her. They resist having an affair the whole episode, and finally they end up and have a one-night stand. And the show goes on, not unlike The Killing, which I also did. The show goes on to be kind of a look at all the stuff you're not wanting to look at after a betrayal, which is like, it's not just this hot, sexy affair, but it's also not just getting slapped on the wrist like, oh, you cheated, you're going to pay. It's like right in the middle of like, what if we can't make a moral decision on either side? Like, what if you, the audience, are confused about like, well, it's the love of her life. So I kind of want that was what I liked about it. I was like, I kind of want her to have the affair, and I'm super happily married. But Sam and I, neither of us like felt weird about this because we were both kind of into the fact that, you know, it's a romantic story if you look at it in that way.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It's like my wife and I talk about this a lot, and you, like two happily married people sitting here talking, can say this without looking over the shoulders because we have nothing to hide. Is that you wonder, like, if you were with someone else, like if I was with someone else when I met my wife now.
Totally.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's game
exactly.
over.
And
so
that was exactly how I described it to Sam.
Yeah, do I get the scarlet letter? I met the love of my life.
Yeah.
And there are people out there listening that like cheated on somebody, wound up marrying that person and having 5 kids. It's like, obviously this shit worked out.
Yeah.
Should I have broken it up first and then gone through all that? Yes, but then there would have been a weird months and months delay, and maybe I would have missed this window. I don't know. You can't help who you fall in love with or when it happens.
I know. And I think that actually kept me from ending up married to the wrong people many times before, because I always thought when and if the real thing shows up, will I be able to resist? And I knew in my heart of hearts I wouldn't. Because I'm so romantic, I knew that I would end up going for love. And so if I had been, you know, if I persevered until I felt like the situation was right.
I would say Betrayal is interesting to me, the show and the idea of the show, because infidelity to me is worse than like actual murder.
Yeah.
Like if my wife came in and said I murdered your sister, I'd be like, my first response would be, what did my sister do? But if my wife came in and said I've had an affair, it's just it's the all time.
That's hardcore.
But you don't agree? It's like the one.
I don't know.
And look,
I'd have to think about it.
people that don't act the right way for a long time, and then when you sync up with somebody and you act the right way, like
Right.
like your whole world just goes, like it's just game over.
Yeah. No, I know. And that was the cool thing about directing it too, was I was trying to describe it. It's like a tide. It's actually stronger than anyone.
If your husband cheated on you, can you think of a scenario where you forgive him and then live the rest of your lives happily ever after? You personally.
From where I sit, no. I know that people overcome it, you know, and I'm glad when they do. So overcome someone having had an affair.
I don't know if you know what? I don't.
You know what the problem?
It's not that I
would
don't
be?
know. I know I don't have that in me.
The problem would be
to overcome that.
Like
it's the sand in the oyster.
Feeling like someone's totally in your corner would be gone forever.
Always.
Because you would always wonder.
Yeah.
You'd always wonder.
Every text,
because that's how
every
they
email.
acted before,
Yeah.
right? So in that way, it would be super hard.
I always feel like when I watch like Dr. Phil, because you know I'm a learned man, and there's always those couples that like get caught cheating, but they're gonna work it back together. And Dr. Phil's like, "We're gonna get you guys back on the right track."
Right.
And I'm laying in bed going like, "Why? Like this is terrible. They cheated on each other." And I know there's, you know, a million people listening to this going like, "What, bro? You're killing me here." But it just, I don't know. I personally, and I know my wife feels the same way. It's over.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, let's work it out. Like, no, you're fucked. Goodbye.
You know, it totally depends on what your marriage is like. Because as we were talking about before, I've had relationships where the people were...
Relationships, not marriages.
No, that's true. That's
You took
true.
an
But
oath.
say I had married...
You took vows.
But say I had married one of the playboys that I dated in my youth. If I had married
Niki
that
Lauda.
guy...
Formula One racer, Niki Lauda.
If I had married one of those guys, I think it would be dramatically different than how I feel about my husband, because Sam and I have such an intimate, private bond. So I think that it would be devastating to our relationship. Whereas if I had a kind of lighter, more social arrangement, then I think it would be different. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
You know what? I guess I'm not giving credit to people.
Or even if you just know your spouse is like a bonehead, or, you know, I don't know. It would be.
You seem a lot more forgiving about this. Or is that because you just directed an entire show about it?
No, I think it really depends. It's funny. It was like when I dated a cheater and then I started cheating. I remember someone saying to me, "Once a cheater, always a cheater," and I was like, "Not so." Totally circumstantial.
It's not true.
It's
It's
totally
not so.
circumstantial. If I feel like I've been betrayed, so I'm going to betray back.
Yeah.
It's totally different. You know.
There's that old expression, a leopard can't change his spots, and I've always said yes, but you can teach it to run in a different direction.
That's true. That's a good one. Yeah.
So, and there are those people that go, I personally, it's just, to me, I don't get it. And it's funny, like, once that's the way you behave, you're surrounded by people that behave that way as well.
Totally.
And it's like, what? He did what? Like, I don't know how I would have. Anyway, so I want to talk about Aileen Wuornos, and I want to talk about Monster a lot, and I want to talk about The Killing a lot. But we have to talk about jmohr.com, Patty. Awesome. I know. Do you have a website up yet?
No.
Wait till ABC gets their hooks in you and makes you get a Twitter account, Facebook page for...
it's so not my thing.
Yeah, but they're going to make you.
I don't know.
And if you're the director...
My next movie may. I'll do it for my next movie.
You naive thing. ABC is going to be like, social media...
No, because I'm not attached going forward. So
you directed an Academy Award winner in Monster, but you directed the pilot of Betrayal.
Yes.
Betrayal. And I don't think the audience knows this. When you smart gal, when you direct the pilot for something, you are paid forever by that production.
True.
I didn't know that till like last year. So why wouldn't you just direct 50,000 pilots even if it was garbage?
It's actually it is an amazing lifestyle. Every once in a while, it's funny because the movie I'm trying to make right now is like something I'm so super passionate about. But every time I get frustrated, I'm like, man, you could just direct pilots and just not because there's a part of me that has an aversion to the limelight of doing big movies and kind of everything that goes along with it. I love it too, but there's a part of me that's like, wow, you could have such a more stress-free life. Just do a pilot a year. You work 3 months out of the year, and then that's your whole life. It's amazing.
And you really do eschew the spotlight to a detriment of your own. Your what the fuck is it called when people think about you when you're not around? Your reputation.
Yeah. You
turned down. You were hired to do the comic book movie.
Thor.
Thor
2. Yeah.
And Thor 2.
Yeah.
Which what you would have been said you would never have to work again.
No.
In theory.
That's not true at all.
Really?
No.
Oh, I thought once you do like
Marvel
one of those...
does not pay that way. They don't pay that way.
Well, you would have been and I'll go a different way with it. Right. In a business paradigm, you're set up real nice for whatever you want to do the next few things.
Yes.
And if you do it well and it makes money, where's our action gal? That's Patty Jenkins.
True.
Okay.
But I want to be...
Well, why did you accept it in the first place?
Because it was very simple, actually. I had a really specific... It was funny looking at it. I was like, I'm so not the right person to direct this unless... I had this very specific idea, which was I went to them and I said, I would want to do it as Romeo and Juliet. It would be very different than what the first one was. And at that time, they were like, great, we're super intrigued by that idea.
Right now, right when you said that, me as like network executive, I was like, yeah, she's not right for this at all. Who would do Thor as that's crazy, Patty Jenkins. Who does Thor as Romeo and Juliet?
Here's the hilarious thing. Every conversation I had with them, I was like, no way they're going to want to do this. No way they're going to want to do this. And I mean, I have to say, it's a testament to Kevin Feige and the people of Marvel that they're like really think outside the box.
Hold on a second. Is this post-Oscar?
Oh, yeah. This is years later.
Maybe not thinking that much outside the box. You got had some heat on you.
Still, I mean, they have a massive... Because I even said to them, I was like, you have a franchise here. It's no joke. I understand it. I would want to do it this other way. So we tried.
But isn't Thor like a big, crazy white ape man?
It is. What it is, it's this guy who goes around planet to planet fighting people. But with the cast that they had and the need to make that love story work better, I'm with you. I was like, I'm not sure this is what they need. And I said this to them from the beginning. Maybe you need something completely different. And they had initially talked about a story that was very different than that. And so we tried for like 3 months. We tried to come up with a vision that satisfied both ends, and we couldn't do it. It was like
But this is after they've agreed to go.
I was hired, and then I was on it for about 3 months, and we tried to come up with a storyline that worked for both things. And then it ended up just coming down like they were in a political situation where they had a lot of movies going on, and they needed to go with the original story that they'd had, which was not right for me at all.
Did it get made?
Yeah, it's
because I just Google searched Thor 2, and all the articles are about you and Kenneth Branagh. Even like Kenneth Branagh, Patty Jenkins, both pass. So now, like, the conversation has changed. You turned it down now, according to the nerds on the internet.
It's been fun watching everybody's version of what happens.
Now, did the nerds climb up all of in your business? Like, you're going to ruin it. What are you doing here?
It was awful. I mean,
comic book people are nuts,
awful.
right?
And by the way,
and I say by the way, real quick, I say that with admiration because I wish I was passionate about I'm not as passionate about my children as these people are about their comic books. So I say that to all you nerds out there.
I was braced and ready for it. I was like, okay, this is going to be a crazy ride. But literally, like, I shot up to like being so incredibly talked about. I was like the most trending thing on Twitter. It was great. It was crazy. And the thing that I didn't anticipate was the fact that I was a woman was like a huge deal. And then it became a huge deal on all sides. Everybody was like, first woman, biggest movie done by a woman, all the agents, everybody, we made history, we're breaking history. It was so much pressure on, for me, I would have loved to have done it. I would have loved to have done the movie I wanted to do, but I am not just Joe Action. And so
you don't strike me as a CGI person.
I was like, okay, you're going to spend 2.5 years or more doing something, it better be for a reason. If it's just to get my foot in the door of action movies, which I am not want to make a life out of.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
You and Bruce Willis in Capri.
Yeah, it's just not.
Is Patty around? Plumbing doesn't work in my trailer.
But by the way, the other reason that this happened was because I do love some of those movies. Like Spider-Man 1 and 2 were my favorite movies of the year. Like when they came out, I love when those big movies have like a great story or a love story, or Superman 1, you know? It's like those movies were huge defining experiences to me, and I hope to do one day, you know? Like I love those stories, but Thor just wasn't the right one, like what that is about, which frankly, it's not a surprise.
Is there a stigma to you now as the lady that like, do people think Patty Jenkins turned Thor down because it just didn't work out?
I have no idea what they think, because everything you could possibly imagine has been printed. You know, like I have no gauge.
It changed here since the last time I was even at your house. When I was at your house, it was like the more negative, like, what is she doing? I'm glad she's off. And then just now when I Google searched it, it was like even Kenneth Branagh and Patty Jenkins, they passed.
The only
so
thing
it could be interesting with this person
is that I was fired and that Natalie Portman's furious about it. And it's because of all the, like, that's all I ever see. And so I'm sort of like, God,
was she furious about it?
No.
Oh.
Like, but it just, everything got too dramatic. It got too dramatic. Everybody tried their best, honestly. Like,
and it wasn't a payday. So it's good. Thank God it didn't work out.
No, it was not a payday. And that was all the more reason that that's just not the way those guys work. So for me, it was really like, I'm going to work for 2.5 years. I'm going to make less than I would making a pilot every year. And I'm going to be away from my son completely. So it better be a work of passion, you know, like it better be a movie I really believe in, instead of like a strategic move, which I just not where I'm at in my life right now, is like a strategic move.
They're going to make you get a website up for, Betrayal. You're going to have to tweet. I'm telling you. Why? It's going to be some like 22-year-old Asian girl in like a pinstripe suit. She's going to go, "Hi, I'm the social media director from ABC. I just moved here from someplace and they thought I was perfect."
They don't care about directors in television. They don't care.
You have no. Oh my God, you're so naive. I can't wait to talk to you in October. Well, we're number one in demos, 43 to 44-year-olds. You're like, wait, what? Go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner, buy things. I will read it on this podcast, and I'll make you famous with all your friends. Like Michael Cole from Palm Desert, home of Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age, by the way. Man, I've been abusing the shit out of that Queens of the Stone Age album, like clockwork. It's like old Bowie. It's like if Bowie, have you heard it?
I have not heard it.
There's a couple songs that are real, like metal, and then the ones that are a little slower and more melodic, it's like old Bowie, like Low. Like David Bowie, Low, or Man Who Sold the World, or Width of the Circle. But like if Bowie did a lot of bench, like if he bench pressed,
right?
Like there's a little more nutsack to it. Yeah, Josh Homme's like
good.
So much more fucking talented than
all his acoustic stuff is so great. If you go look it up, it's incredible.
And all the stuff that Mark Lanigan
sings. Like Trent Reznor. You're always like, Jesus, he's like a classical musician.
Yeah,
you never see it coming. Like his score pieces.
Trent seems to stay in the box. between his bookends.
He doesn't.
Whereas Josh Homme seems to go.
But Trent Reznor puts out a whole bunch of other stuff that you may not have ever heard. That's like these that I actually temp scored half of Monster 2. Like these really. Oh yeah, these really beautiful like.
That fascinates me. How many guys score movies and you don't even know it? Like, how long did RZA get going before even, like, RZA did Ghost Dog? I remember getting high and seeing Ghost Dog just because I love the soundtrack so much. I went to Sunset Lemley, fucked up, just to hear RZA.
He's in a lot of stuff. He's in a lot of scoring. It's weird.
RZA?
Yeah.
Like, Kill Bill.
I did not.
He did the Kill Bills.
So weird.
Yeah. And all those Western, like the spaghetti. Did he do Django, too?
I think he did a couple. I don't know if he scored the whole thing, but I know that he did some of it.
I'm going to get back to you, Michael Cole. I saw RZA at Venice Beach. I was with my son. And he's got this beautiful child with him. And it's RZA. And RZA's like 6'4" in real life. He's Wu-Tang, so it's already a little menace there, you know? But he's my favorite member of Wu-Tang Clan. And I go up to him, I go, hey, man, just want to tell you, much love. East Coast to East Coast, just much love. And he goes, that's peace. God, I appreciate that, man. I go, your daughter is beautiful. He goes, that's my son, man. And I just picked my kid up. And I acted like I had a second kid, and I couldn't find him. I looked over my shoulder, and I made up some name. I'm like, Jeffrey! And I just started jogging away, because he wasn't rolling solo. He had a thick crew. Michael Cole, just wanted to say thank you for your great podcast. Having Keaton Simons on, I'm a huge music fan, and here, apropos of this, I had not heard of this artist, Keaton Simons, because of you having him on your show. I did. I bought his CD, Beautiful Pain, using your Amazon banner on your website. I hope you'll do some shows in the casinos in the Palm Springs area. Oh, I'd love to. In the near future. Keep up the great work. Michael Cole, Palm Desert. Michael Cole, nothing would make me more happy than to go to an Indian casino and have them pay me in wampum. I would. Morongo's out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can't spell morongo without moron. What else?
Pachanga.
Pachanga?
Yeah.
Why aren't I doing more Indian casinos?
Chumash Casino.
Chumash? You've been to all those?
I've been to a lot of them, yeah.
Which
Lost a lot of money.
If I was going to do one, which one is the nicest?
I like Morongo. It's tall. They got a nightclub at the top. Not that you're interested in that, but...
If I can go, you know what? If I go on a Friday and I tell everybody I got a show the next night and I can sell it out, I'm down with it.
I like Morongo a lot, actually. I've lost a lot of money there.
Do they do shows?
Yeah. Wow. They do. Casinos...
Funny.
I'm at South Point in Vegas. I just signed like a deal with them where I go 3 times a year. But like outside of Vegas, you're like in Seattle, you play like Snoqualmie Casino, and there's like there's like actual like tribesmen. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. There's like actual elders that you have to meet. Like the meet and greet first is with the members of the tribe. And I've been up to Canada, like Cold Lake, Alberta, to meet everybody up there. And it's the amount of reverence that. You would be the same way because I've known you a long time and I know your insides a bit. When you meet members of a tribe, the reverence you have for them, it's just like, wow, like there is less than 1% of 1% of you left because we just we killed everything and we coughed into your blankets. Maddie, that's not.
I just had something in my throat.
She's Irish.
I had something in my throat.
Jenkins, you directed one of my favorite movies, Monster, with, like we said earlier, Charlize Theron. Now, Charlize Theron, I think, doesn't get enough credit for being as great as she is as an actress. Do you find that?
No, I feel like she does now. I feel like she didn't, but I feel like she does. I mean, maybe it's just because everybody who talks to me says, "Oh, she's amazing," you know, like so I hear the best. But do you feel like? Yeah, because I feel like she's done great things since.
I think when people think Charlize Theron, they think like Vogue magazine ad for a watch, like with a real glamour shot, you know, like Vanity. You know, does that make sense?
Definitely.
I think they think of her doing like Tiffany. I don't know what the ads that she does.
Right. What is it?
But, like nobody thinks Eva Longoria actress. They think Pantene Pro V.
Christian Dior. Yeah.
Christian Dior. Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Certainly, people always say, you know, how. I get 15-minute speeches about how beautiful she is regularly, but I also think that people really, I think she's really had been defined now as a great actress.
Who? Oh, Ben Defined. I thought you were saying the name of a man, Ben Defined.
She's been defined.
I was so spaced out. Are you involved at all in the casting of Monster, or is that did she bring it to you? Like where did this all start?
100%. I mean, It was the project. I wrote it, and
You wrote Monster?
Yes.
How do I not know this?
I wrote it with no deal, totally on my own.
Just because you're obsessed with Aileen Wuornos?
No, even though I was very captivated by that story. I've been watching true crime my whole life. Like, I'm a huge true crime junkie. And so I actually met the person who went on to be my producer, and he said, making all of these, shitty serial killer movies, because there happened to be companies doing them at the time for $1 million. And they were like just a slate of straight to video movies.
Is that like Jeremy Renner when he played...
Exactly. That was one of them. And so
Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah. He was good.
So it was literally because of those movies that I was like, I said to him, you should do a movie about Aileen Wuornos, because the story always pissed me off. Like, all through the years, everything I saw about her story, even the documentaries and stuff, I thought they were very good, but they weren't addressing what I saw, which is like, why can nobody understand what happened to this woman? Why? Like, people would see everything that happened to her, and then they would jump straight to, she hates men. I don't know. I'm like, is that's what you see? You see somebody sitting like a feral, animal backed into a corner, and you think she got off on this because she hates men?
What are the names of the documentaries? Because they're so great. There's like 3 of them.
Aileen, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh,
but it was all about the aftermath. It was,
right.
That movie was all about the aftermath. So for me, that was
great. She was raped as a kid.
And
raped as a teenager.
They don't even get into that. They get into it a little bit there, but mostly that's all about like her and what she did, and it ends up being a lot about the documentarian, and like it ends up being about his pursuit to get.
Well, for you and I sitting here, for people because it's such a. What fascinates me is she actually got put to death. Like, there's guys on death row. I had Damien Eccles on the podcast. He was on death row for 18 years.
Such an incredible
but
story.
they found a way to get Aileen Wuornos under the needle. I can't.
She pursued it at that time. I mean, that whole thing is like, dude, a crazy story, because I wrote it. So I go to these meetings, and I'm like, you should do, or I end up telling this producer, you should do it. And he goes, you should do it. You won't get anything else made. Like, you try it. So I actually stepped in super tentatively, like, okay, I'll like feel this out and see how this would be. And then as soon as I started to write it, I was like, boom, I see something that I care about so much more than this. And I stepped away from any of those deals, because I was like, I don't want to go straight to video. I don't want to do it with, 2 big titted chicks playing up the lesbian side. I don't want to do it. So I ended up writing it on spec, and halfway through the process.
What's that mean on spec?
So just I didn't get paid to do it.
You just wrote it and kept it in your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so halfway through writing it, I was like, who's going to play this? My God. And I just fell asleep in my office, and I woke up, and Charlize Theron was on the screen in Devil's Advocate. There was something about how you could tell how unvain she was, because she's so beautiful. She's tremendously unvain. And I just looked at her and I thought, wait a minute, I think she could do it. And then the more I started looking into it.
Well, it's mighty nice of you. I mean, you're writing, as your friend described and as you described, a B movie, 2 lesbians going killing sprees, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll let Charlize Theron take a whack at it. Then you got to go about.
But the point was, no, that was not going to happen. So here in my head, I'm writing Journey into it. I'm planning it for Charlize Theron. It's all in a dream. But the great thing was, I was like, nobody's going to fucking make this. So at some point, the greatest thing about it was, I was like, I'm writing it for me. I'm writing it the way I see it, and that's it. It'll be a great spec piece. I don't know. I'm looking at the whole thing. But then when it started to go, it was like never going to be Charlize, Like at first it was much lower budget and
Terror Raid.
And all very tentative and all very sketchy. And it was not until the very end that
Juliana Rancic.
Now I can't cast somebody else.
Give me some names.
I'm not going to give you any names. It was everybody you can think of, but weirdly.
You fucked up Thor. You owe me names.
But it was everybody you could think of, except, it was
no blacks.
No.
Right, I'm guessing.
No blacks.
Because that's the one. A network will always ask you.
No, but the funny thing about it was
all ethnicities.
We
welcome.
definitely had our moments in making the movie where they were like, "Can she just not kill the last guy?" I was like, "Yeah, see, it's a true story."
Yeah,
so,
it's amazing the ideas they come up with to quote unquote
can't
help.
Do that. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe she doesn't have to kill the last guy.
Right.
Everyone has an idea to help. So, who's the person that put the money up? Like, who decided? Like, oh my God, this is who jumped on with the passion that you had to fund it?
No, I don't know that it was anybody ever had the passion that I had, but my producer, who I ended up doing Monster with, Brad Wyman, who I love and adore, rolled the dice on me. He was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
So he raised the money himself?
No. So he takes it to his partner, a guy named Donald Kushner, and they're like, oh, okay, you know, it'll be like, you know, and Donald Kushner, who I love, says he'll put up X amount of money. Then he takes it to a guy named Mark Damon, who, for the foreign side.
By the way, when you invest in movies, this is how you get paid back. You get mentioned in podcasts. So you're welcome, guys.
No, at least they
Give
made
them
the
their big
money.
shout outs.
So then they sold the foreign, and then that guy. So it was like, it just built little by little by little. Like at first it was like, oh, you know, because of this straight to video market, we'll make it. And then it was.
But then you find yourself at the Academy Awards.
Nobody but me thought that could happen. I swear to God. Like
that.
I felt like the entire time I saw a slice that if we got through, our movie could make it to the other side of the straight to video market, which was, I was like, we just have to make a great movie, and her performance has to be a fucking amazing. And if her performance is amazing, which it already was, so I was totally emboldened, then we can get out of this straight to video thing. But I think everybody.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it was just like I think everybody but me, you know, was like, what are you talking about? It's like not what they were planning.
So everybody's going like a quarter of the way in, but enough quarters added up to enough where you could make a viable
but it was still
product.
only $1.5 million. It's not like it was.
Well, I think that speaks a lot to your talent as a director, that all these people thought it was going direct to video, and you were like, no, we're going to be at the Oscars, and everyone's just chipping away at you like, hey, you know what? This will sell out at Walmart. Just take it easy. Don't get hurt. Don't pull a hamstring out there.
Listen, I think...
You know, I understand Parker Posey's available this month.
I think every time that's probably the case. I mean, I think everybody is like, listen, young upstart, you know, everybody thinks their movie's the greatest. And most of the time, I think, you know, you don't get lucky. But I did get lucky that it did work out. But I sort of think, you know, yeah, I think that I don't blame them either. How many of them assume that our lesbian serial killer movie's going to make it there? I just thought that could be great. You know, and I don't think that they needed it to be great. They needed it could be much less for them, and they would have
profit.
Yeah, and they would have done a good job. I thought it could be much greater.
So they say luck is when hard work meets opportunity. You work on this. You have the script spec in your house. You're looking at the big picture. You know this could be as special as it turned out. It became the actual fruition of your dreams, literally, because you were dreaming about Charlize Theron.
Totally true.
Meets opportunity. Charlize Theron. How do you get Charlize Theron to come in and go, yes, I am exactly with Patty with this, and I want to win an Academy Award on this one?
She never, it was not an automatic for her. It was, the script went out. What I never estimated was how desperate women are for great roles in Hollywood. So unlike a normal indie film where you're just trying to get somebody, women came out of the woodwork wanting to do the role. So I went like from the you know, C list to the B list to the A, like just it all happened so quickly.
And they're all getting in touch with you.
Oh yeah, we put a casting director on it, and we had a start date, and it went crazy.
Who's the weirdest person where you were like, what? Really? Not in a negative. I don't want you to throw anybody under the bus. Just
oh my God, there were so many of them that were so, you know.
But we can take it out later if you.
There were so many people who were so actors that I really like that I was like that it would just never be, you know, and so it just went.
Shelley Long. Yes or no?
None of them were that. No, not like that. None of them were like that because everybody's trying to put their best person forward
as Aileen Wuornos.
But there were definitely people, and then there were even people like, you know, who got sent into the meeting that were like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, I would never end up being the person to get this role, but good luck to you. Like, you know,
like because I'm not good enough or I don't look like
just like they're not going to be the one, you know, like they're like Christina Applegate didn't even want it, but she did not want it. She's great. And I admire her so much, but she was sort of, I remember having a great meeting with her where she was kind of like, I can't see why you would pick me. And it's not what I do.
Always a good selling point.
No,
always good to walk into a meeting and go, I don't even know why I'm here.
That's what I do at bars.
But in a lovely way. It's not, I don't think it's her passion to do, you know, movies like this. But I don't know.
So where did you meet Charlize Theron?
So finally what happened was it got to the point where I had thought we were out to Charlize all along. Turns out nobody ever thought we could get her. So finally we go out to Charlize and her manager really sees it. So her manager, J.J. Harris, who I love, sees that this is right, you know? And so she appeals to Charlize, and Charlize is like, it's so great because it goes to show, like, it's not even just like love. It's not like magic happens right on the first meeting. The first time I sat down with Charlize, she was very skeptical. Like, what is your deal, dude? What is your problem that you're after me? She just couldn't figure out why I was so singularly focused on her doing this role. And she has her own personal life things that I didn't know about when I wanted her. So, like, I think there was a lot of fear about, like, what is this about, and why is she after me, and is it a TNA movie or whatever? The second she sat down, she had a tragedy in her past, which I didn't know about at the time. And so,
similar to Aileen Wuornos?
No, but it was her, I mean, it's public, so I can say it now, but her mother, her family ended up in a hugely dramatic, bad situation where her mother ended up killing her father in front of her. And so that's the tragedy of Charlize's life. I did not know it.
I was going to say, thank God.
I did know it when I met her. I didn't know it when I wanted her. I figured it out right before I met her, and I actually thought, oh, fuck, she's not going to want to do it because it's going to unearth this thing, which has since been unearthed because of the movie, where people are like, you know, making the connection. But weirdly, I'm not surprised, because I think it is what I saw in her is somebody with tremendous depth and gray, you know? And so when I met with her, she was tough at first. She was like, what's the deal? But immediately, I think she saw me and met me and saw that I wasn't like trying to work a hustle, and it was very specific.
The lesbian serial killer, how are your boobs? You weren't trying to do the movie that people were trying to get you to make. That's you had to convince her this wasn't direct to DVD.
Yeah, which was
eventually you guys will be making out. It'll be really hot.
Which was quick to do, but was scary. I think it's a scary role to take on. You're going to have to go there and be her, you know. And Charlize like really thought about it, and when she signed on, she just went whole hog. And I mean, we like shook hands and we were like, we're doing this thing. Like we're doing it, the whole deal. We're not half-stepping it. We're not making excuses. We're not changing any things for the audience's perception.
Did she stay in character all the time?
No. She's not that kind of person.
You ever worked with actors that stay in character all the time?
No. It's funny. I had just been talking about an actor who was like that, and I was like, that would be an interesting experience.
I've never experienced it. Like, are you method? Like, people that don't act always like to do that joke to you. Like, are you like, what are you, like a method guy? Like, I've really never met anybody that just stayed, you know, Jerry Maguire for 5 months.
It was weird. I'm kind of fine with it. But if they stayed that way on set, when I was talking about this famous actor I was thinking about going out to, I was like, and a friend who'd worked with him told me that he stays in character all the time. I was like, well, in a way that's easy. No. I was like, in a way that's easier for me, because then I just don't even have to get to know him. I can just,
well, you're not saying
I can just deal with my character all the time.
Right. Is that easier? Do you think that would be easier to direct because you're actually talking to the person, the incarnation of the character that you want in the first place? Or to some point you need to talk to a human being and go, please stop talking with a fake French accent.
It would be hard at lunch. You know, like when you just are tired and you don't feel like dealing with your character. Probably.
You're not saying anything bad about the person. You're just saying they stay in character. You can say their name.
No.
What?
Because I just don't want to talk about who I'm going out to.
You're afraid. Oh, because you're going out to them for something else. I got you. You know what? You're a company gal, and I dig that. And I'm a company guy, and that's why I use Stamps.com. Patty Jenkins, who directed Monster, and the Betrayal, just Betrayal, September 29th on ABC. Mailing and shipping. It's important when you run a small business. Like when you're sending out mailers in a casting office and 8x10s and all that stuff, you know, what are you going to put 55,000 stamps on a bunch of 8x10s for all your clients? That's absurd. Stamps.com. That's what you got to get. You got to get Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, everything you would do at the post office, you do right from your computer, right at your desk. Like right here, I could be mailing out T-shirts and fan letters, but I don't get any, really. But if I do get any, and you find out my address, I sound like Norm Macdonald. If I do get a fan mail, you know, at my desk, you know, I use Stamps.com. I mail it right back out to the guy, and I send him a photo, you know, and the guy will be like, "Hey, my name's Joe." And I'm like, all right, Joe. Hey, Joe, best wishes. Yeah, that's what you got to write on a headshot, you know.
Oh, my God.
Stamps.com. Buy and print official U.S. postage, any letter or package using your own computer, your own printer. Stamps.com will send you a digital scale. That's good because you won't have to figure out anything. You'll never have to go to the post office ever again. You think Patty Jenkins wrote Monster standing in line at the post office? No. She had free time. You want to know why? Stamps.com. I use Stamps.com. Matty Boy at The Real Hey Matty, he uses Stamps.com.
I do, yes, I do.
Mailing Amanda Bynes letter after letter.
Relentless.
Newports, just cartons of Newports to Amanda Bynes with Stamps.com. But you don't have to know how much a carton of Newports
how much it
costs,
weighs,
because you have the digital
meter.
scale.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, use my code, Mohr. And if you don't use the code, they go away as a sponsor, and then I got to pay for shit, and it stinks. So help me out. Go to Stamps.com, use my last name, Mohr, M-O-H-R, $110 bonus offer. That includes the digital scale, $55 free postage. That's a lot of letters to Amanda Bynes, $55. My God. Go to Stamps.com. Before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage. Enter my last name, Mohr, M-O-H-R. Stamps.com, enter Mohr. Now, when you're directing Patty Jenkins, Charlize Theron as Aileen Wuornos, before you get to that point, how many times were you able to... This is such an absurd question, and I'm embarrassed I'm asking it. Was Aileen Wuornos already dead when you started making the movie?
Well, it's funny that it's not funny, but that's what I was actually leading up to.
No, that was my bit. It's supposed to be funny.
Before.
Big gag I had.
So, when I started writing the script, I wrote Aileen, and I said, this is who I am, and this is my perspective, and this is what I'm trying to do, and whatever. And she and I corresponded for 6 months while I was writing the script.
Using letters.
In letters. She's in prison
but
at the
that's
time.
before Stamps.com.
That's definitely before Stamps.com.
Otherwise, you would have saved a fortune.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Can you imagine in jail?
I'm sure.
How much canteen money you could cobble together if you had a fucking digital scale in the hole?
I don't know if you could.
I don't know if they'd be weighing stamps.
Like, bro, they'd be weighing that.
Stamps are worth a lot in prison, too. It's a whole other thing.
But if you had a digital scale on Stamps.com, you could weigh other things in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Like hooch.
Yeah.
You could weigh hooch. You could weigh, man, you weigh that hooch, you know? That hooch.
Oh, I'm sure they have scales of some sort.
They sure do. It's called your cellmate's shoulders. Sit on my back. I'll tell you how much you weigh.
Yeah.
I'm dying. So you correspond with Aileen Wuornos. This, to me, is the most fascinating thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a lady, she's murdered how many men?
7.
And it's not like, maybe she did, maybe she didn't.
No,
she says, yeah, I did it.
She did it.
And so you have compassion for somebody that the state has deemed unredeemable.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're trying to redeem her through this movie.
What? Yeah, and it's funny. I'm not even trying to. I of course have a huge amount of compassion for her. Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested in telling the story. But it's not even. And I wrote this to her. I was saying the thing that I thought was the roughest is that she's either in a situation of claiming all innocence because of everything that happened to her in her life, or she's a horrible person because of what she did. And I never wanted to excuse what she did because most of those were completely innocent men who did not deserve what happened to them, and they were murdered in cold blood, and it was horrible. But what I thought was important, and what I think is eternally important, is questioning how people get to where they get to in their life. And it's funny, Sam and I talk about this all the time. The more I know in life, the less I believe that there are almost anyone that you can't piece together some sort of the history behind what happened. I mean, because even if they have something mentally off with them, there's still triggers that happen.
So an FBI profiler's job becomes easier and easier the more you just pay attention.
Yeah, and there's...
Sam Sheridan is Patty's husband, in case you were going, who's the Sam fellow? Disaster Diaries, Fighter's Heart, 3-time champion right here on More Stories.
Yeah.
But that's not why you're here. You're here because you wrote and directed one of my favorite movies and went on to win an Oscar. And it was supposed to go right to DVD because lesbians were making out and murdering dudes that tried to pick them up for hooker business. You went the whole other way. You are a Hollywood anomaly. You did it your way, like Sinatra sang. So you're writing back and forth with her. I think what you're saying, and I'll put words in your mouth, is it's not either or. Either she's like, I didn't do it, or I did it because of all this. And I think you did a really good job.
Not like we should feel only sorry for her. She crossed the line, and I try to show that in the movie.
And I don't feel sorry for her in the movie. What I do in the movie is I think if that was my life, I'd probably kill people too.
Exactly. And that's what I found with her.
It's the most ridiculous existence, and you go, I mean, what, is she going to go work at Target?
And sadly, and I've seen this a number of times, the very qualities that made her into the serial killer that she was in another context would have made her an incredibly successful person, which is she thought for herself, she survived, she rose above. I mean, at the time that she started killing people in Florida, there was a male serial killer killing female prostitutes, and Aileen had been hooking on the road since she was 11. She'd been hitchhiking across the country hooking. Ugh. And so you think about the perseverance that she had to survive and rise above and keep trying, and she kept trying to make her life better. And so sadly, I feel like the very things that made her even when she would write about killing people, she would have to discipline herself to do it because she felt like she had to, be able to tell who was a bad guy and a good guy and put down the ones that were bad. And she was a tough-minded.
She would categorize each guy.
It's almost like men that go to war exactly. Very few of them are bloodlusty and love killing at first.
I shot him because he was going to shoot me.
At first. And so you go through an arc at first where you have to say, I don't want to do it. I don't want to blow that guy's head off, but don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And so I think the first time she killed someone, it was in pure self-defense. But after that, she was trying to hook, and she was on this wobbly line where if a guy freaked her out, she shot him. But then as it progressed, she started projecting onto men more and more like, oh, I got you. I know you. You're a bad guy. I'm going to kill you. But she would even write about it and say, like, you know how hard it is to make yourself do that? I don't wake up feeling like doing that. But hey, I got to do my job. And if the shitty guy's going to come around, that's what I'm going to have to do. So it's like, I think it's just like, it was heartbreaking that she kept trying so hard, and I think in another context could have been an incredible person, but everything in her life was so awful.
Yeah, we mentioned Damien Eccles earlier. That's a guy who just everything wasn't awful, and then all of a sudden he woke up to awful.
Yeah.
And then you're in the hole for 18 years. But Aileen Wuornos, like from birth on, like she didn't get a single break. The sun never shined on her side of the street.
It's truly, and it's beyond the beyond. Like if you start reading her story, you're like, why? You can't handle it.
But how did she get put to death ahead of everyone else?
Two things. She was pursuing her own execution. By the time I was even writing her, she was mentally not doing well. I mean, she was
and
really...
in the documentary, you really see
she's
her
losing
coming undone.
She's coming undone.
Even when she's coming undone, you're waiting for her to say something sage. You're waiting for her to say something brilliant. You're waiting for her to give
She didn't have the mental health assistance to do that. And that was what's so... And now I'm making a movie about prison because you get so sucked in to that world. Once you get close to it, I am making a movie that takes place in prison. And once you get sucked into that world... It's so incredibly tragic what ends up happening there. You take someone who's already been so damaged beyond the beyond, and then your approach towards, I mean, listen, she killed 7 people. They're not trying to rehabilitate her. That's not the point. But what they end up doing to much less guilty people than her only makes you more far gone because they're isolating you and they're you're in a situation, no access to any understanding or mental health. She was like a rat in a maze. And I think the very thing that it was the dichotomy of the two ways of perceiving her made her go crazy. Just she's ping-ponging back and forth between...
You don't think she was crazy?
Feeling incredibly guilty. No, I don't think she was crazy by birth. I think schizophrenia can be absolutely developed over time. And I think she's the perfect example of someone that your mind will find a third way if it can't handle what it has to work with. And in her case, it was fear management. She goes from feeling incredibly guilty to feeling incredibly full of rage about what had been done to her. And she was just ping-ponging back and forth between that for the 12 years that she was in prison. And finally she created a third way, which is that it was aliens and that they were watching her and the whole thing was, and then it's like, that's a relief.
But so did Garrett Morris when he was on Saturday Night Live. That's just because he did too much coke. It is amazing. Like it just, you put this person in a box.
Fear management.
It is amazing.
Your mind will come up with a way to handle the stress or the fear and that relieves you.
The government's tapped my brain.
Whatever. It just relieves you of responsibility.
It's weird. I just realized, Matty Boy, how many times in the past 3 months we've had people on this podcast and we're talking about jail and like
really, it's very in
like
the
Wayne
consciousness
Kramer and
right
like
now.
Damien Echo. Like we keep having this discussion. Bat Sorum was just here
so
talking about jail guitar doors and
in
stuff.
need of reform.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucked up right now. This movie that I'm doing now, I thought of before Ace was born 7 years ago, and I just haven't had a chance to make it yet. And so it was like I couldn't escape it. After Monster and corresponding with Aileen and then getting letters from other prisoners and getting sucked into their situations, it's such a nightmare what's going on down there everywhere.
Could Aileen Wuornos, the first, could she have been rehabilitated?
No.
So
Not after the 7 guys.
So then what do you do with somebody like that?
You have to. You
just keep them in a box.
You either have to
give them a number in a bed.
You either have to put them in life, or in her case, it was funny. I'm adamantly anti-death penalty now, but in her case, she wanted to be executed, and I was happy for her.
Why did she want to be executed?
Because it was unlivable. The life inside of her head, everything that had ever happened to her in this life had been awful, and she was ready to move on, and I don't blame her. It's like, well, who wants to live out the rest of your years? There's no redemption. You've done such horrible things, like you
Gary
can't.
Gilmore really wanted to get it, didn't he? And his family fought against it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I get it. I would want to kill myself for a lot less than that. Like if you murdered 7 people and ruined everybody's lives and then had all your own nightmares, So
that's the amazing thing to me is because Wayne Kramer and I were having the conversation. His whole thing is when you put somebody in jail, life without parole, you're telling them they're not redeemable. And he just refuses to accept that, like from the MC5 and like the Tom Morellos and all these guys and Billy Bragg are like, no, like there's something, like give them guitars, have a community garden in the prison. There's some way for this person to make their way through. But I think the outlying factor that wasn't brought up in those past conversations we've had is mental health.
Yeah.
Like you're not talking about a guy that got in a bar fight and smashed somebody's face in and killed him.
No, yeah.
You're talking about somebody who's actually gone mentally ill, doesn't get any medication, doesn't get Klonopin, doesn't get Prozac, has panic attacks, hears voices. And what do? You just tell him to be quiet, you beat him with a stick, you hit him with a hose, and you put him in a dark box.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like I'm pro death penalty even in that scenario, but I was pro Aileen getting the relief she was looking for. It's almost like assisted suicide. It's like...
Are you pro assisted suicide?
Yeah. Definitely.
Why is that against the law?
I don't know. Why the fuck would it be? Like, if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. I mean, I have spiritual concerns for people that kill themselves.
That's the thing with me is I always feel like in the afterlife, what if like that's God's like one hiccup, like, bro, you broke the code. You can't do it yourself. That's the whole game. You went out of bounds, dude. You turned it around on us.
But we don't know. Like I have those concerns too.
That's my only concern. Like if my body was like ravaged with the something that I won't say out loud. Kenahura, pa. If you get like the big casino and you're just laying there covered in lesions and you're just racked with pain, and they give you, look, there's family member. Everybody's a family member in a hospital that is in so much pain, and then finally the morphine kicks in, and you're sitting there and you go, so they can watch Jeopardy? It's fucking Teen Week. Like this person finally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just watched somebody in the hospital, like finally, like the medicine got it to a manageable, like holy shit, I'm in pain moment. And it's, Michael, you're in 11th grade at Palos Verdes High School. Yes, I am. And you're like, that's why? Give me a hot shot. Get me out of here.
I know.
But don't put a pillow over my face because you'll fuck it up, Matt. You'll slide off to the side. You'll take way too long.
What, if I put a pillow in your face?
Yeah, you got to give me a hot shot or something.
No, yeah, I'll do it nice.
Would you pet my cheek as I went out and tell me nice things?
I would. I think that's the important part about assisted suicide is being able to plan out your death for your family members. Also, I think it'd be a lot easier to come together with somebody you love and watch them pass, and everybody's prepared for it, and it's a nice, sad, but it's a nice thing for everybody to experience together, as opposed to just finding somebody in your bedroom who's been in pain for months or years.
It seems like the all-time libertarian decision. Like it's my body.
Right.
Don't tell me what to do with it.
Yeah,
I don't want to wear a
very
seatbelt.
true.
I don't want to wear a helmet. I don't want to wear a seatbelt. You can't force me. whatever, take my shoes off at airport security. And you can't tell me that I can't fucking blow my brains out when I've stage 5 brain cancer.
Yeah. And you imagine how frustrating for people who have no control over their whole life, like say you're paraplegic and suffering from something else and degenerative, disease, and you can't stop. You can't escape it. I don't know.
But you're in a weird position now because you're anti-death penalty, but you're pro-death penalty for a person.
I'll tell you why I'm anti-death penalty, though. I'm anti-death penalty because I theoretically am not anti-death penalty. In theory, I sort of am aggressive enough culturally that I'm sort of like, hey man, somebody rapes and kills a bunch of kids. That's society's taking that dude out. And that's the way it goes. But that's what the death penalty should be for. And that's not, unfortunately, that's not what's going on in this country. It is being way too freely used. And it's being used for people once I started to know about what goes on with the death penalty, first of all, you've got tons of people, not tons, but a significant, decent amount of people who get proven innocent after the fact.
Yeah.
Even one is too much.
Yeah.
Even if that ever happens, it's too much. Secondarily, you have the majority of the people who are in prison are young gang members who are Black or Hispanic who never did almost anything in their life. And that's the real tragedy in prison.
They never left their block.
Is that people actually look at prison and they talk about redemption and and it's funny, it's big in my movie, redemption. I'm like, the sad part about prison is that 80% of the guys there don't need redemption. They need help getting out of the life that they're in, but they were present when a crime happened and they joined a gang, and you throw them away forever.
Or the cops say, what happened? You go, I don't know. Then they find out you knew.
And they're like
and
14 and they're busted with pot and whatever. And then they have to commit crimes in prison, join a gang and have their back and blah, blah, blah. It escalates. But it's so much more just about circumstance than it is about. But anyway, the point is there are people like that being put to death. There are people who are gang members who never even did a violent crime. That's not who the death penalty should be for. It should not be for that. A kid that's present at a drive-by shooting, give me a break.
In theory, my knee-jerk response is, yeah, hell, I picture my own children, and you go, yeah, absolutely. But then you go, all right, I'm on a jury, and the decision is thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't know. I do know. I can't give that thumbs up. I can't be I have a hard time
for death.
Yeah, I had a hard time.
You shouldn't be because we can never be sure.
I put my dog to sleep for 6 months. I'm like, I can't make a call and say it's time for this dog to die.
Yeah,
that I felt absurd about. We'll see. Well, I don't know if I do know. Like I said, I can't. It's very easy for people to go, I'm pro, I'll fuck them, fuck those guys, I'll fucking pro death penalty. Are you going to look this person in the eye, look their family in the eye and say, you're the person you created, these baby photos and this little cardigan sweater in 2nd grade, this person is so heinous, there's no spot for them on earth.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I think you'd be surprised how many people would be fine with that. But nevertheless.
Not these days. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of people who are really into not seeing the gray. I mean, I feel
Rock
sad.
The best thing
I feel
ever.
sad
a stabbing chair doesn't cost anything. Just go from the trial, sit your ass down, and just stab him. Just done. No 18 years.
Right.
No reprieves. No phone calls from the governor.
Yeah.
Just sit out 2 at a time. Just sit him down. Cut him out. It's almost like you go back to the days. Now, I know this sounds absurd, so don't tweet me about this shit. But you go back to public hangings.
Right.
And you go, that almost seems just. It was quick.
Right.
I know there was a mob mentality and a lot of innocent people went down. But we fucking hung Saddam Hussein. That was quick.
Yeah.
There's people on death row that aren't getting the courtesy that Saddam Hussein got.
Yeah.
He had a nice suit.
No, and it's weird because it's part
Nothing
of due process. I just don't think it can be legislated. I don't trust that you can legislate death fairly.
Well, we legislate a lot of things that are absurd. And you see those guys isn't it weird when you travel enough when you go to a state where there's not a helmet law?
Right.
And you're like, whoa, what? Hey, buddy, this guy's a fucking maniac. He's going to get pulled over.
I know.
It's like, no, just some state doesn't really give a shit if you want to crack your skull open on the curb, nor should they.
No, I just had such a middle-aged moment where there was a guy on a motorcycle like that and a girl on the back, and she had short shorts. They had no helmets on, and they were taking off, like going really fast, and I was like cringing, and the guy just looked at me with such hate. He's like, fuck you, lady. Like, how dare you judge me? But meanwhile, all I'm looking at is his girlfriend on the back, and I'm
I think that
oh, God.
all was imagined in your head.
No, it happened. He literally turned around and glared back at me. It was like, and
Well, how
I
did
think
you
he
look
flipped me
at him?
off.
Were you like going,
I looked at her legs like this. I mean, it was clear.
Oh, you
I
actually
was
shook
like,
your head
oh
no.
my God.
You looked at them and went, no.
No, I didn't. It wasn't no, but it was a cringe. It was a clear cringe. Like, dear God, are you really going to take off with that girl with no helmet and short shorts on the back of your bike? I mean, dude, we've all had lots of friends in motorcycle accidents.
I like how the short shorts is what draws the line for you. Like, if she had pants,
she's
she
a
would
mom.
she would get
because you're not thinking. Do you know how likely is she to go down and rip all the skin off her thigh? Pretty likely.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, is she going to die? I don't know. But it's, are you gonna flip over and rip off all your skin? That happens a lot. Or touch her leg on the pipe.
Burn it, yeah.
Here's the bottom line. If you do die, do you want the police to find you in denim cutoff shorts? That's really what it boils down to.
Well,
it's like wearing a skirt and Uggs.
If I assisted your suicide, I would dress you in denim shorts.
I don't care how you dress me. Just take me out of my fucking pain. I'm not kidding. You give me a hot shot. We're going to work out some high sign.
I'll give you a real nice outfit. I'll dress you up real nice.
Be great. I'll give you eyeshadow.
Okay. I'm good with that.
I know.
The ultimate practical joke. Humiliates a person after death.
If your husband asked you to put him out because he was in, God forbid, terminal, would you do it? You know what?
Oh, man. No. Honestly, it would be
ABC. Betrayal. September 29th is the show. Now, you direct the pilot. Who are the actors in this show, Patty Jenkins?
Great. It's like an awesome group of people. Hannah Ware.
I'll be the judge of that.
Young,
Hannah
wonderful
Storm?
actress.
Hannah Storm's in it?
Hannah Ware.
Hannah what now?
Hannah Ware.
Oh, all right.
Stuart Townsend.
Stuart Townsend. That's our clock. Maddie writes
Nice,
it down
I like it.
in a big Sharpie and holds it up over his head. He's calling in plays from the sideline of the Rose Bowl.
I like it's very technical.
Yeah. Stuart Townsend. Hannah Ware.
Henry Thomas.
Oh, my God.
Who I love.
Now,
James Cromwell.
Wow, fancy pants. Now,
Chris Johnson, Wendy Moniz. Awesome group.
Now, how come Henry Thomas doesn't work more? He seems to just like to live with his dog. He plays acoustic guitar in Austin, Texas. He's happy out there.
Yeah. He is a true artist. Henry Thomas is a true artist. Beautiful,
yeah, but so is Jeremy
emotional.
Davies, but he's smart enough to come out of the woods and get paid once in a while.
But so does Henry.
Really?
Henry has continued to work. Yeah. He's done stuff. And by the way, I think Henry would like to work more, but it's interesting because when you see, he's one of those guys that everybody will never get over Elliot. They never will. Now, the reason why is Elliot from E.T.
exactly the same, first of all.
The reason why is because and it was funny. I was talking to him about it and he was like, oh, I'm always going to, people are always going to bring it up. I'm like, but it wasn't just because it was a big movie. That was a beautiful performance. He was all of us. Like he was me. I want
to watch it. I just Patty described it. I'm like, I want to watch E.T. tonight.
He was, it was such an incredible, that was such an incredible performance for a child that I think it's even more defining for him. And
he does look exactly the same.
You could,
if you put the two composite photos next to each other, you'd be like, well, that's that guy.
Yeah.
Whereas like you as a baby at that ET age and now.
Yeah, you would not recognize me.
Yeah.
You would not. But he's a very different, he's like a full-blown great actor. Super talented.
We had a good time. I worked with him on Suicide Kings and we got along great.
That's right.
He's very sweet, very tender, and very kind. And I you know this. You just get to an age where if you're casting something and they go, you just all you want to know is, are they nice?
Yeah,
we can all act. Are they nice? Is this person going to be a pain in my ass?
It's funny how that happens, isn't
when
it?
I'm a camera woman for Michael Jackson. I don't care
that they're my best friends, but if somebody's a real problem, I will not do it anymore. I will not do it anymore.
Did you start doing technical stuff like camera?
Yeah, it was funny when you were talking about Wu-Tang. I started out as a camera person on very high-end commercials, but then when I jumped up to being the focus puller myself, which happened pretty quickly, I did every Wu-Tang video, every New York hip hop rap video, every
Were you in
Puffy,
New York at the time, or did they fly you in? Focus puller for the listener, by the way,
all of Biggie's,
is maybe the dumbest fucking job in show business.
Why is that?
It's the guy that stands next to the camera and focuses the camera. My iPhone, if I take a picture of you right now, I'm at the wrong angle, it's going to focus itself.
No.
A $8,000 Sony camera should be able to focus itself.
First of all, the focus puller...
Hold on. Without a guy running towards me, all sweaty, breathing too loud through his nose as I'm trying to cry.
Oh, I think you're so wrong. First of all, the focus puller is actually the key camera person. So the focus puller is the person who picks the camera, checks out the camera, tests the camera, can fix the camera, loads the camera, everything.
All right. Well, then I'll take it back.
That is actually a highly important job.
Then you've educated me and blew the joke apart. Here's the thing.
Second of all,
the dumbest fucking job is the guy that sits in the crane all night like a fucking idiot. When they put the lights up on the crane.
I still think it was like VTR. Like, remember when there was a guy that used to just hook up the video and sit down?
Sit there for 15
I was always
hours.
looking at him. I was like, dude, why didn't I get that job? Because I just wanted to learn about directing.
But the guy in the
and then
crane,
I have like this stressful job.
But the VTR guy can go take a shit. The guy in the crane's up there with a bucket and like a Runyon novel. Like he can't move. And it's pouring rain.
That's true.
You're in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And he just sits there and it's literally up there for 9 hours.
Yeah, but Teamster, that's a pretty great cush job.
Yeah,
Drive
no,
the
I'm
truck
not saying
and do
push
nothing.
jobs.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
saying
no, that-
absolute fucking absurd
Yeah.
job. I need a guy in the crane in a little like when you see a guy fixing something on like a telephone pole, that little tiny bucket he's in.
Yeah.
There's a guy that sits like that in a movie.
Crazy.
And they go,
All night.
we need to bring it down 2 feet. But that's not the guy that brings it down. There's a guy on the ground that brings it down, and then the guy up in the bucket in the crane gives you like the okay sign, like, yeah, I looked about 2 feet.
Yeah.
Time and a half. So focus puller, extraordinarily important job, and you've educated me.
Secondarily, they didn't have autofocus when I was doing it, so you couldn't just have a camera do it. And third of all, the person who's having to focus because the operator's operating the camera can't look through the lens. So it's actually a very difficult job.
Who's the guy looking through the lens?
The operator. That person's operating the movement of the shot. So the person focusing is having to do it based on math, just distance alone.
No, there's tape on the floor, and he makes
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But wait, who's the guy sitting in the little seat looking through
The operator.
So he's behind the focus puller guy on the stat sheet?
He's ahead.
All right.
So the operator is ahead of the focus puller.
So why doesn't he just focus what he's looking at?
Because he can't operate at the same time because the cameras are so heavy. So if you're moving the camera, you can't be also. It's just the mechanics are so huge. And also, focus is not. You look at your autofocus on your camera and see how much you'd want to air that on television. It's like it doesn't know. It's focused on your fucking shirt.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you saw my show, Autofocus. I have an entire No, you're not. So I like that Patty Jenkins is filming like Biggie Smalls videos and like
every
Puffy.
one of them, for years.
It seemed like if I can't direct.
Not every
ever,
one of them, obviously. I'm exaggerating,
No,
but I did tons of them. I did do all of the Wu-Tang and all the Fujis and all those things for the years that they were going on.
The way that we rock when we're doing our thing.
Because I was working for the DPs that did all those videos.
Directors of photography.
Yes.
Puffy, nice guy.
You know what? I actually had a good impression of Puffy insofar as he was such a hard worker.
Oh, good.
No relationship with him at all, nor did I ever observe one. But that was rare at that time. Like he was eyes on the prize, all business, no girls, no fun. He's obviously got an ego that he has in the world, but he is a big-minded guy in the fact that he wasn't satisfying his ego in the short term. He was eyes on the prize in the moment.
When you're directing a rap video, you're like, all right, Inspector Deck, Ghostface, RZA, Jizza, I need you guys to jump up and down. I need your arms up a little higher. Like what? They're just throwing money around and screaming, right?
Yeah.
But you got to make sure it looks
footage.
right.
I didn't do it. I wasn't the one directing it. Luckily.
Oh, you were doing the camera?
Yeah, I'm just doing the camera.
Oh, I thought you were directing all these videos. But you were camera for Michael Jackson.
I was. That was awesome.
What was it for?
Earth Song, greatest. It was actually one of the greatest entertainment moments of my life, though. I have to say, even though it was Earth song,
rest of us
even though it was Earth song, but it was so incredible because I, of course, a kid of the 80s.
Anytime an artist works Earth into any fucking thing they're doing, you're
no,
like,
it was not. It
really?
was listen.
You can't write New Year's Day again. You got to drag Earth into it.
Yeah, that's funny. That's true. But
this is a song about the planet. You're a fucking jerk.
But it was like a huge, awesome experience because they built this. He had you had to sign a confidentiality agreement, everything. So they built this 40-foot long white wall that everybody else had to be behind. So he would be performing by himself in a field. And the only thing they couldn't figure out how to do was focus the camera. So the only person they put on the other side was me. So it's like this 50-foot white wall behind me.
So you're filming the Earth song video.
Yes.
You have to film Michael Jackson dancing.
Yes.
Michael Jackson has worked out a 40-foot white wall so
that
no
everybody
one can
else
see
is
him
behind
dancing.
it. Yeah.
But he never thought that someone actually be on that side of the wall with him to actually film him dancing.
There was no way to do it at the time. So there was no there wasn't.
I don't think you're getting my point.
Gauge.
The
no,
man-
I know. He didn't plan it. The director plans. I mean, he didn't plan how it's going to work.
My wife was in a Michael
I'm
Jackson
sure
video, and when she was a little kid, and he stayed in his trailer, and he peeked through the blinds and watched rehearsals for 4 hours to a little crack. He's obviously a nut. Was a nut. I like to think he still is a nut. I like to think Michael Jackson
somewhere.
just moonwalking in purgatory, bag of bones, just batshit crazy, and wherever the fuck he is. So, it's deep shit here, man. Fuck you, Maddie.
What?
What?
No, I like it. It's
So
visual.
there's a 40-foot wall for
Right.
his privacy.
Yeah.
Okay. At what stage in the video do they realize, no, Mike, someone has to be on that side of the wall to make the video?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but I don't think it's Mike that planned it out. I think it's the
guarantee it was Mike.
director. No, I'm
Everybody's
sure he
looking at me.
demanded the wall and the privacy and all that. But I don't know that he's the one that demanded how they were going to figure it out. I'm sure it was who knows? Maybe they always knew somebody would be.